Welcome back to The Way of the Wandering Wizard. I am, as always, Robert Andrew Meredith Kennedy. I am a pure and open channel for the finest vibrations of divine love and light, made manifest here in service to Gaia and those who travel with her. It's a bit of a mouthful, so most folks know me as Bob the Wizard. A few as Gandalf Bob the Wise, many more as that weirdo in the kilt, and a lot more besides. My last little video was way back in September, just before the anniversary, my 10th anniversary, of a near-fatal bike accident, which is pretty much the trigger for recording The Way of the Wandering Wizard. I wanted some way of sharing my story of being hit by a car, my bizarre experience, out of body, and my journey before that and after. In many ways, I should title this little video Anniversaries. This is my 1 year anniversary of the events of January 2022, where I was experiencing this time last year what could only be described as a psychotic break, mental breakdown, emotional overload, the like of which took me completely over the edge for 2 weeks. Probably the most difficult 2 weeks of my life, if I'm honest. Genuinely terrifying. Put me through a series of mental journey, the like of which I needed to go through in order to gain some kind of resolution. Whether in some way from my light-filled experiences, despite the pain of the near death, maybe I needed to see the darkest shadow of that side. Now, if that's a very metaphysical way of describing the resolution of consciousness after a trauma like that, it's the same process. How we deal with it is how we deal with it. Either way, it certainly marked the end of a chapter. Made me really go through a year of self-reflection. In many ways, the sharing of my story, which I'm trying to re-listen to, was a great part of that process. And so for those of you that have watched, thank you. It was really good to be heard. Now, anniversaries. Over the course, particularly the year after any traumatic event, there's going to be the anniversaries of the triggers which cause the traumatic event. This is part of what we go through every year, I suppose. It's why our life may appear to be going round in circles, or certainly in spirals. But it's been an interesting year given the triggers which led me to 2022. 13th, my nearly dead day anniversary, passed remarkably well, I have to say. Was a point of reflection, and certainly having been through my dark phase, shall we say, in January, allowed me for the first time in many years to stop fooling myself. Had I actually resolved the fact that I would always carry the PTSD of the accident, and that I'd have to learn, or had learned, ways to deal with it? Yes. And probably for the first time in that decade, that point of going, yep, given the events at work and all of those things that I've gone through, what it all brought up, I have finally learned that lesson. It was a big tick in my box. Refacing the mental catastrophe I went through last year was a tricky process. I don't know, for some reason, I need to revisit the places where my traumas have occurred in different headspaces, just to see, can I cope within that space? Do the memories overload me? So as the way my life works and Wandering Wizard's lives work, I found myself on a number of occasions working close to the War Memorial, and was able to go back, revisit, and I think I posted a little reflection back in June of how different 3 months had made. Given the fact that my family were involved in my War Memorial incident, and no more will be said, it was important that I revisited that space with my mum, which happened on Remembrance Sunday. And that was, by her and my admittance, a very healing moment. That moment where she realised that after 10 years of catastrophe, of working through my stuff, of losing my shit basically, that she had her son back. It was a big point in our journey. The fact that that then rolls into a wonderful Yuletide with the family may explain why I haven't been posting much. I've been busy living my dream. Back with the family. Right. There's always going to be drama. There's always going to be minor traumas. There's always going to be dealing with the events of the past. But for the most part, it was one of the most peaceful Yules I've had in many a year. The fact that, as I sit here now, reliving my experiences of last year, I find myself in a good headspace. Very reflective of the difference of being so lost this time last year and a year of work and clearing, and later, and I said quite literally sitting there finding myself much more resolved, understanding where some of that stuff was plying up from, having had another year to research and investigate the great workings of mind in order to understand what I went through. It is my hope, which I keep saying, to try and share a few of those techniques, as I said, because life continually brings up these little challenges for us. The greatest lesson that I've learned is that no matter how much I work through it, you always carry a degree of our trauma. And there's a reason for that. The body keeps the score. It's what keeps the body alive. Understanding that and being able to work through that has been a challenge at times. Overloading challenge. I've had a few moments. But these are the things that we all face in life. Once we start to gain an understanding of why we've been through the events, what those events have taught us, as traumatic as they are, the opportunities to grow from it, if that's what we choose, then it does help us to make sense of some of it. Now, I can't promise that I'm going to be posting a lot. I'll try and share a few little words of wisdom. But in contrast to that wonderful journey that I've shared, that wizardly awakening to my wider consciousness and all of the things I try and share, change the fact that that mind still exists within a body, which still exists within the, whatever we want to call it, day-to-day world, consensus reality, the 3D, under the same stresses and strains that we're all facing. The simple fact is I don't post that much. It's because I'm working very hard, trying, as we all are, to keep pace with spiralling costs, spiralling prices throughout our life, and all of the other craziness that we currently find ourselves in, where yet again we're all asked to empower the few. It just doesn't seem to me to be a very sensible way forward. I think we live in a time where we're just watching greed playing out and conflict playing out on an epic level. I think it's pretty clear where that's going to lead some of us. Maybe it's time to change. Maybe a few postings on that, in between grafting hard and trying to keep a roof over my head. Well, as expected, a somewhat rambling reintroduction for 2023. I don't do New Year's resolutions. I've been certainly going through a lot of New Year reflections. Where I've been, where I'm going. So, I look forward to sharing a few of my, sharing a few thoughts and feelings in future episodes. Thank you for bearing with our wandering wizard as he wanders through his life, sharing the occasional snippets on YouTube. Take care, go well, and blessed be.